Ike Barinholtz, Sam Richardson, thanks a ton for joining me today. And before we get into it, I want to pick your brains about the NBA and all the times that your careers have intersected with the sports world. But first, I want to hear more about your work on this Hotels.com campaign and your Courtside Concierge characters and how they came to life.
They are what?
Your Courtside Concierge characters?
I'm a method actor. So when I first heard about this, I got a job at the Downtown Hyatt. I've been working there for the last month or so. Mostly nights, but I'm working my way up to assistant night manager.
Exactly.
If you guys are ever around there, ask for Ike. I'll be there.
Yeah. And I just need I'm always just looking for jobs.
Whatever they are. Whether it's a actor or a concierge.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard that your spot with Hotels.com is premiering during NBA All-Star Weekend. Other than the commercials airing, what are typically Sam, what are your favorite parts of All-Star Weekend?
The dunk contest. That's the hands down. And celebrity game. Because you like to watch people who
think they're good.
They're good.
Yeah.
And then they're like, it's like real fundamental dribbles out there.
Oh, sorry, Malcolm in the Middle. You just got rejected by Eric LaSalle.
Yeah, exactly.
Would either of you play in the celebrity game if you got asked?
I'm gonna say straight up no, because I would want to, because like for me, I don't play basketball that often, but when I do, I need like at least a quarter to get into good again. And like that, I don't want that televised.
I'm gonna say yes, and I will regret that when like there's like a YouTube clip where you can like watch me tear my Achilles tendon in super slow mo.
Exactly.
Like oh no, he got juked by Timothée Chalamet. Have fun walking with a limp the rest of your life, Ike. This will happen. Now that I'm saying it.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope that whoever's coaching the team is smart enough to maybe put a smaller guard on Chalamet.
Yes.
You gotta hope. Have either of you ever played a character who you earnestly believe can dunk?
No, the opposite. Well, kind of. In Detroiters, there's episode called Family Reunion, where we're having a family reunion basketball game for my family, the Duvets, and Tim is trying to encourage me. He keeps saying, "You can dunk." And I'm like, "I can't dunk." Like, I think you can. I believe you can. So I hear Tim just is certain I can dunk, and I'm like, I can't dunk.
Let's see. I would probably guess that Ivan Dachenko from Eastbound and Down can dunk. He's like a athlete that like the Soviet government like was running tests on and stuff. Like I imagine when he worked out, it was like Drago and Rocky IV, where he had like little things all over him. So I'll say he can dunk.
Yeah.
And I can dunk it.
I can dunk too.
No, I said Duncan. I said Duncan.
I can dunk.
I can Duncan. If there's a Duncan around here, I'll go. I'll pick up for everyone.
Yeah, I can Dunkirk.
I can Dunkirk.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah, very, very reassuring phrasing there.
But also he has like all these skills that you learn about.
He's one of those guys you're like, he obviously can't dunk.
Yeah, and then he like dunks like between the legs.
He does like a D Brown.
Exactly.
Is this the first time this week that you've mentioned Richard Splett and it hasn't been a question about George Santos?
Yes. Yes, it is.
He is very Spletty. I could see Splett like explaining to him the difference between the House and the Senate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Richard getting it wrong a little bit.
Remember, like Richard, he like is always like kind of like it started out that he was like kind of dumb, but then as it went, it was like, he's
the smartest one.
He's
the smartest person in the whole.
Just like misguided by what he believes, how his
optimism.
His optimism is like misguided.
I'm glad you mentioned Ivan, because I was wondering how much baseball prep it took to get camera ready for that. Like, were you enthusiastic about having to go through the motions of being an active baseball player, or was that a lot of work to get to the point where you were comfortable?
I was very, very excited. I didn't have a whole ton of time. And I remember I got down there and I was shooting a couple days later. So I had a few days of working with this guy, Kelly, my baseball coach. And I remember one day I threw probably, I don't know, the day before I was shooting, probably threw 130 pitches. And then my day of shooting, I walked up there, my arm was like Smucker's jelly. Like it was just dead, and it was a bummer. But it was very, very, very cool. It's very cool to play a jock.
Yeah.
Like, because even though I am one in real life,
Well, yeah. Yeah.
it is nice when you're playing one because you look cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
And it's so hard to look cool. So anytime you get an opportunity,
Yes.
Basically impossible.
yeah, it's never been done. It's never been done.
You can speak for yourself. One of my buttons pop off the top of this thing.
That was my goal. I wanted to get a button, and I got a button. Sam, on Detroiters, I have to ask. You guys, I know that you did your best to sort of. I've read that you were inspired by a lot of local advertising that you grew up with, and you mentioned the Mel Farr Superstar campaign, Detroit Lions icon. Were there any other Detroit athletes that you wanted to snag for cameos on the show, or maybe build ads around to try to really live up to that legacy?
Well, we had that. In place of Mel Farr Superstar, we had quick Rick Mahorn in Dearborn. So it was like a 1-for-1. He had a car dealership in Dearborn, and the whole premise was he was a bad actor, and he overhears us calling him a bad actor, and so he takes an acting class in Detroit, and then gets super into acting. And so we had Rick to do it, and it was so much fun. He had such a great time, and then we kind of like dressed him up as like an old lady in like a big mama's house and a thing. And the whole time was like, "I'm gonna mess y'all up, make me wear this wig. I'm messing up, make me wear this dress." You can tell he also like had a fun time doing it.
Yeah, he was happy with that. He was happy.
Oh man, all the stories he'd tell us.
Oh my god! Because he was not just Detroit; he was Philly.
He was Philly.
He had Barkley stories, but new Bowl stories.
That's right. That's right.
Dawkins.
What were your childhood fandoms? Were you Pistons and Bulls? Am I right in assuming that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Pistons.
I mean, very good time too. To like the Pistons were like amazing, and then the Bulls were amazing. So it was. I don't think we would have been friends then.
No, we would have
We would have been like mortal enemies.
mortal enemies.
But now they're both under 500. Sadly.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's
there's no tension on set.
Yeah, now it's just all academic watching.
Yeah, it's just for fun.
Yeah.
Where do you guys stand on, like, because I hate to rub dirt in it, but tanking in general? Because now you're both sort of in the world of like, if the Bulls and Pistons are going to get back to those glory days, they're going to have to, I don't know, continue to gun for the number one pick. Like, doesn't that get kind of tiresome at a certain point? Or do you think that that's always the right move for a team that's stuck there?
I'm anti-tanking.
You're anti-tanking?
I'm anti-tanking, and I'm anti like pulling your best players the last week.
Yeah.
Like, I just always think about like people who go to games, and I always think about like a family that's like, oh, we got to go to one game a year, and then you go and you're seeing like the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th guys on the bench as opposed to the stars because they're resting.
Mhm.
I think they should stop doing that.
I agree. The only other thing is like, let those deep benches play a little bit.
Let them play a
Let them
little
play
bit.
a little bit.
Listen, let them play. I'm not saying don't play.
Let them play.
But I'm just saying, like, if you've got the second seed locked up, and this game really doesn't matter that much,
Yeah.
like, you have faith that your player won't hurt himself.
Yes.
Let them see some of the people they want to see, and then get those bench guys.
Yeah.
Let them start to have cool careers.
Yeah.
That's what. Do you know Adam Silver's home phone?
Yeah, I can pull that
I got it.
off air. Is that cool? Yeah.
I just have the area code, so that's
Yeah.
more than
I've
I
got the
have.
first three. So if you hit us with that back four,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we're good.
we're good.
Yeah. I definitely know the combination. I just have to sort out the order, but I will get there for you guys by the end of the
Thank
call.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate
During I'd rather take you guys back to your childhood fandoms though, because I feel like you'd rather talk about those. I don't know. Maybe I'm misguided, but Sam, what was it? You obviously opted into working with Rick Mahorn, so clearly you grew up like with those Pistons as your idols. What was it like knowing that As a kid, you had these sort of representatives for your city that were like not only good, but known as scary specifically.
Known as scary and known as the bad boy. I mean, of course, like anybody in Detroit, that's like the badge of honor. You know what I mean? Bad boy. I have like maybe 7 Bad Boys t-shirts. We loved it.
And also the band Inner Circle.
And Inner Circle. You know what I mean?
Sing
Love
the
them.
song Bad Boys.
What you gonna do when they come for you?
Well, seriously though, what are you gonna do?
You know what I mean?
Think about it. Maybe think about it.
Breaks. Please make it no breaks. No, Soldier Man, no breaks. Well, I loved it. Like, and they were just the coolest team. Like, it was just.
They were my nightmare because they were so good and they were also blue collar and they were just like, oh man, that was tough. There was definitely times where I was like, we're never gonna make it out of the East.
And then not only do you make it out of the East, but you make it out of the East like for my entire childhood. So well done. But do you remember like what was the most satisfying of those Bulls years for you? Like the first breakthrough or somewhere in the middle of the three-peat where you're like, we're unstoppable?
I mean, the second year, the second one they played Portland in the finals when Jordan did the shrug, that was like we were just like so good. But then when we came back and we had that team with Kukoc and Rodman and Pippen and Jordan, that's just like a sick lineup. So I will say I never took it for granted. I watched almost every game during those like 7 years that they won 6, and I love them so much.
You have both spent a good deal of time in LA now at this point. How would you, Sam and Ike, both compare sort of the intensity of Lakers fandom to the intensity of the fandoms that you grew up with?
I am, if I had to pick another team besides the Bulls to be a fan of, it would be the Lakers. I loved Magic Johnson growing up. I loved Shaq. I grew to love Kobe by the end. I didn't love him at first, but by the end, I freaking love that guy.
Just pure respect.
Just respect.
Love.
Oh my God. I think people give LA Lakers fans and maybe LA fans in general like a bad image or bad reputation rather, but I don't know. I think they're pretty passionate. If you can make it past the first few rows, just sometimes celebrities or musicians or something who are just like, oh, whatever. But like when you see like true Lakers fans or true Clippers fans, they are as passionate as any fan base, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say
not as clean and pure as like a Detroit fan base.
Well, I mean, Detroit is an older team.
So and like you don't have like you see a lot of people adopt the Lakers and they come here and they adopt it. That doesn't happen in Detroit.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
And it doesn't happen in Chicago as maybe to some degree. And it did. Well, what am I talking about?
It did.
Oh my God, what am I talking about?
But yeah, I think I have love for Lakers fans, and even though their love might not be as pure.
But I mean it's still pure. I would say it's not as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Parts per volume.
Also, in our defense, in Chicago and Detroit, it's 4 degrees 7 months a year.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need like that. We need that. That's for us. That one's for us.
Exactly.
Sam, take me back to your ideal Pistons game day experience as a kid. Like, what were you doing before the game? How early were you getting there? Are you getting there to watch them warm up? Or are you just like, rolling in when the game starts, then it's kind of like lights up?
Well, as a kid, I never got to see the Pistons live as a kid. But then like later I would go like, in like that 2000 like from 2003 on, when I was like really like driving myself places and like I had friends who could drive, that's when I was like so go out to the Palace of Auburn Hills, and probably in Detroit you can't like pregame or like because you're driving everywhere, and I mean if we did I would never say that in an interview, but like and also you just kind of get there on time and watch the game, go nuts, and come back home. And but really the key way for us was to watch it at a bar or to like watch it at somebody's house. But like now that it's downtown at Little Caesars Arena, it's so much fun to go to those games because like all the things are in the same area. Because Little Caesars is Red Wings and
Little Caesars owns the Red Wings and the Pistons, or the
stadium.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a pizza.
Yeah, man. It's a
stadium.
Stadium.
Yes,
You know? So yeah, I mean it's a time. It's a time.
I mean, I remember going to quite a few Bulls games when I was young. I remember so many. I was at the slam dunk contest in '88.
Oh,
I just remember like going to a game, and we never had like really good tickets or anything. But I remember going to a game one time with a friend, and we both got 2 tickets, not next to each other, both obscured views.
Yeah.
And I showed up, and they put a chair in front of like a load bearing metal beam. And I remember watching the whole game like this.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I too many to count, I feel.
I mean, incredible.
Ike, do you still have any lingering enemies or resentment, like players you still can't stand from childhood, or has most of that melted away?
Don't get mad.
You about to say him?
If
I'm gonna get mad.
I'm sorry. I love Sam, and I actually like the Pistons now quite a bit, and even the Bad Boys.
Yeah.
I like most of them. But if Isaiah Thomas wanted to shake my hand, I would give him a hard pass.
He's from Chicago.
I know.
He's one of you.
I know, but I just can't.
The fact that he's you're born and bred.
By the way, this is Sam Richardson, the maddest he gets.
He's my favorite player of all time.
And I will say this: I'm going to give him credit. Best handles of all time.
Best handles of all time.
Best handles of all time.
Of all time.
Better than AI. Better than Steph Curry. The best hands of all time. But I can't.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of battles happened that kind of like took him out of the talk about like the GOAT, but I think he's among the best
for GOAT point guards. I think it's Magic than it.
Thank you.
For point guards,
thank you.
That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to get Sam angry, and I wanted to knock a button off, and I feel like I've accomplished both.
The bottom one went.
We got another one.
You guys totally topless.
I'm freaking hulking out.
Yeah, for those who can't see, he's like ripping buttons off and hucking them at the screen. It's like it's been a strange experience for me.
Damn smash.
Sam, what about you? Do you have like an NBA player you still hate from childhood?
I can't say his name and live in this world because
it's just like it's like hating the sun.
Yeah.
Or like hating the pizza. It encompasses so much.
Exactly. It's its own culture. It really is. It is. And I appreciate that culture. But as a kid watching the things, I have a visceral reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My tongue out. Not loving it. Not vibing.
If you have the flu, you don't need to play. Sit down, you're gonna get people sick.
Well, I mean, if the city you're in gives you food poisoning because they had to cheat to contain you, go for it.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Do you both believe flu, or do you think something more going on there?
Never trust someone from Utah. I want that on the record.
I also want to ask, as fellow, obviously you've got different fandoms, you're pretty dug in, but as two fellow Midwesterners, when LeBron went back to Cleveland to win that city a title, were you rooting for him to get that done or against him out of spite?
I unabashedly root for LeBron. I am a LeBron fan.
I am too.
We have to accept that players are different and our heroes from our childhood are not necessarily the same heroes as we get older.
Yeah.
But I like the guy. I think he's a winner. I think the fact that he came back to Cleveland.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the fact that there were guys that when he left had Cavaliers jerseys and burnt them, and then he came back and those same guys probably bought new Cavs jerseys and then burned them again after he left is very fun. On a comedic level, you have to enjoy that.
Truly. And he came back and he like did right by his city. I support it.
He put on for his city.
Have either of you ever acted alongside any NBA stars, either in this campaign or prior? And if so, who was funnier than you expected?
I was not surprised because I was tipped that he's very funny, but Blake Griffin is legitimately
I've heard he's
very funny and like has like good comedic timing and like is like not afraid to look stupid. So I'm gonna throw BG up there.
And obviously Rick Mahorn.
And
Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn.
Which is a really fun. That's a really
fun
that's
one.
good.
Oh my God, why can't I think of who?
What team?
The Pistons. I mean, sorry, the Bulls.
Derrick Rose?
No,
Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy Butler. It was an off Christmas party. It was enough.
Oh,
Yeah. And only just now I was like, wait a minute.
Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Buckets.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Was he good?
Guys are usually, I find NBA guys usually the funniest out of the athletes.
I think so.
They're down.
Too.
They're down the climb.
And they're the best actors too.
Yeah,
they
they're
really
good
are.
actors. Like Anthony Edwards Jr. in Hustle was fantastic. Like
Mhm.
legit great acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't find many hockey players in the SNL Five Timers Club for
Really don't, I guess.
You don't.
Weird.
You don't.
Weird.
not many, a couple, but not many.
Yeah. You know, try and see Gronk like do a monologue from Shakespeare.
Right.
There was a time when Gronk was probably destined for a multi SNL run, and now probably not, which is I think good for everybody.
You went a different direction. I think it's better for him.
Yeah, I think it's better for all of us.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's ultimately fine.
Yeah.
Ike, in your appearance on Doughboys, you talked about working at Morton's Steakhouse and serving some pretty high profile celebrities.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any memorable or unfortunate experiences with athletes while doing that job?
Oh man, I worked. I was a busboy there, which is a tough job. Shout out to all the busboys out there. I'm trying to think NBA guys. I remember one guy came in. He kind of gave me a hard time, which was Charlie Hustle himself, Pete Rose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went to me and goes, "Hey, come here." And I walked over and goes, "Give me a Coke. Get out of here."
Sir.
Anyways, we laid down a prop bet that he couldn't finish his steak and his potato, and he ended up losing $4,000 to me. So
Well, I'll be damned.
there you go. There you go. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Sure,
Sure.
but not in the Hall of Fame of being nice to busboys.
Yeah, I mean, you got him with his weakness. You hit him with his weakness. You didn't do it.
Where is the Hall of Fame of being nice to busboys? And I feel
There's not one, but I want to build one. I want to build it right next to Cooperstown. So those guys walk out and they see what they could have. They could have been at 2 Hall of Fames right next to each other.
Yeah.
Big trip.
Live and you learn.
that's awesome. Now, do you, Sam, do you have an NBA Finals prediction this year? And if not a prediction, or if it's different than your prediction, what about a preference?
I don't know. Who do you?
Gosh, it's a good question. I mean, if I was guessing right now, I guess it makes sense to say like Boston and Memphis, maybe. But
Right.
I'm one of those guys who's like, you can never sleep on Golden State. Like they're just like, once you've won a couple rings and you have like that team, like even if you're not killing it early in the season,
muscle
like,
memory.
yeah,
When you gotta turn it on.
yeah, I'll go ahead and say, I'll say Golden State and Boston. That's what I'll say.
In 7.
I would love Chicago Lakers. Not happening this year, sadly, but I'll say Boston and Warriors.
I think that's pretty good.
Makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Heard it here, folks.
You're here, folks. And remember, smooth Jimmy Apollo. If you're wrong 49% of the time, you're right 51%.
Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today and talk basketball. And like the rest of us, I'll keep an eye out for your hotels.com campaign, which drops during that All-Star weekend. When I assume, that you and Sam are double teaming Chalamet as he tries to get up a long jumper.
Oh man, he will not be scoring on us.
Yeah.
He will not.
He will not.
He will not be dishing the ball to oh shit, I don't know, Lin-Manuel Miranda.